Namaskar and a very warm welcome to all of you who are here to join me in this webinar. My name is Bina Shriram. I am a spiritual master and a healer. As a healer, my healing technique is very different. I use my connection with the universe and use the energy of the universe to heal people. My healing is fast and the results are long lasting. I'm here to talk to you as a spiritual master. And as a spiritual master, I use my strong connection with the universe and I use the information, the knowledge I have of the laws of karma, of the fundamentals of life, to help people understand the complexities of life, why life is the way it is, why we make the choices we make, why there is abundance or deprivation, why there is, these imbalances in energy, why life is the way it is, why there is sin, what is the reason of grace. So today I will talk about grace. Today's webinar topic is divine grace in healing and happiness. So what is grace? I mean, we hear this, this term so often. Anything which we see is good, we say, oh, God's grace. Anybody who has wealth, we say, oh, God's grace. Good health, again, God's grace. And that is the way we express it. So what is actually divine grace? But before I go on to explaining as to what is divine grace and how we get it, how we are blessed with it, let me tell you a story. A story of a man. Oh, let me add this here. All the stories I tell you today are true stories. I might change the name, I might change the dates, but the stories are true. Otherwise, it's difficult for me to concoct a story because the facts go here and there. So I have picked up true stories. So this is the true story of a man called Rajiv. He was born in a very well-to-do, prosperous family, happy family, good parents, good education, wealthy, healthy, everything was fine. So this man grew up, he finished his education, and then it was time for him to, join a career. So he chose by his own choice to do some business. Well, he chose a certain business. For first business, I remember, because he had some friends who were into that thing. So he decided to do a coaching institute. So his family provided him with the, investment. He had money. They had a lot of property, so he could easily arrange a place to have a coaching institute. And he had friends, and so he started this business, and with everything correct, good research, good money, good location, everything. So it went on. They waited for 6 months to see, okay, what are the results? Because in the beginning it was very slow. 6 months passed, 1 year passed. It just remained slow, 1.5, 2 years, and it still remained slow. It was a very tough period for him. So they thought, okay, wrong choice of business. He took a break, and around that time he got married. So marriage was not a very happy thing for him. Anyway, so today I'm talking about his business. Then he again asked his father to, kind of provide him with some more money. So he was again funded, and this time he started another business of selling electronics. So as I said, they had good property, and again he started this business with everything correct. I can tell you because I've seen that person that nothing was wrong. Good choice of what to sell, where to sell, what pricing, everything was fine. It didn't work out. Again, this time it was 1 year and he couldn't take it anymore. Now it was like, oh God, it is just not working out for me. He had to stop. Then the third business, this time he went into, because he used to like parties and all that stuff, he went into event management, catering, event management, everything together. This time he was very excited because it is something which, he was very passionate about it. Again, the parents funded him. 3 years he tried, it did not work. It was very sad, very, very sad. Effort after effort after effort. And in each initiative, there was a lot of everything, effort, time, money, everything invested in it. So anyway, now what to do? So he took a break, and the family advised that, okay, why don't you take up a job? So because he was well connected, he got, and he by now he had a lot of information about things. So he took up a job, a small managerial kind of a job in a company. He got the job pretty easily through some connections. So, but it was not well paid and he had to work very hard. Anyway, he did toil a lot. And after working there for 2 years, it was very, very tough. Again, let me tell you, he got, through some more connections, he got a job in a very big company. Everything was okay, but as you say, your karma never leaves you. It chases you everywhere. It was okay. On surface, to everyone, it appeared okay, but he was not happy with everything. So money was good. Money was not a problem, by the way. And one day, it was like, no, I can't take this job anymore. And he left the job. And that was the time when he just hit rock bottom. Everything went bad. His marriage was rock bottom. His financial position was rock bottom. Everything. He had no children. Pretty bad situation. He remained like that for about, say, less than 2 years. And then he kept making plans. Though everything was bad, he never lost hope. He kept making plans. And one day, no, I should not say one day, he just came up with another plan. And something changed by now. This time, he made a plan. Like before, it was a great plan. This time he borrowed money from somebody and started his new business. And it's hard to believe, somebody who has seen so many problems. This time, from the very start, everything was great. He did great in the business. He now has a child, he has a great business, everything is great. So the thing is that this story shows a tough time and a time which is better. So that the difference between the two things is grace. When he went through the tough times, no grace. And when he went through, good times, prosperous times, abundance, where his marriage is okay, not very good, but it's okay. Money is fine. Child is fine. It's great for him in all areas. So, as I said, the difference is of grace. What is grace? Grace is abundance of anything. Grace is something, when it comes to you, you don't have to make many efforts. Life, at least in that area, becomes easy. I'm not saying that grace is there in all areas. No. Grace comes area-wise. And I'll explain it to you why it comes area-wise. So, how does grace help? Divine. When I say grace, it is automatically divine grace. So divine grace helps us live. And how does it? Again, it's easier to understand through examples. When we have grace, then life is better. Things come to us when we need them. Grace is like, very often grace is like a gift. It is as if somebody has sent you a parcel and you open it and it's like, wow, now my life is better. I'll tell you what, as I said, the whole talk is full of stories because life is better understood through stories. So, we all know these stories. And there's this far off cousin of mine, and he had a tough life, and he could never, have enough money to buy a house of his own. And everybody in the extended, they used to live in an extended family. Not live means they had I'm talking about an extended family. So he never had enough money to buy a house, whereas everyone else had good money, they had good jobs. He was the only one left. So his aunt, who had her own son, she had this thing that, oh dear, all my children, means she was an elderly woman, and all the children in the extended family have a house, they have everything, and this one does not have. She did not give her house, of course, with consensus, to the son, and she gave it to this boy. So that is what grace is, that it is like a present from God to you. To me, it is God. You can say whichever name you want to. Like that story which all hear about, another present time talking, the childless couple. You don't have a child for years, that you kind of don't even try for it. You just like give it up. And I'm telling you the story of a very old story. And there was this childless couple who 10 years of marriage had passed. They had completely given up, and there was a lot of sadness in the family. Not stress, but sadness. And they were finally, after 10 years of being childless, blessed with a girl. So how do these things happen? We'll talk about that later. I just want to first tell you how grace helps. Grace also helps us in giving us strength. Strength when life is very tough. When you see things in contrast, then you understand things better. So I'll first tell you, when you don't have strength, then how you go through a very, very tough phase. It's not a very good example I'm giving, but we often come across news items in the paper that the mother gave poison to all her children and she herself committed suicide, or the father shot everybody and himself. We do come across such stories, and which is like sad, but that shows that the strength was missing. Yes, I understand that their life was very tough, but grace was missing. Whereas sometimes people pass through a very, very tough phase. I remember I had a cook in my family, and her son was in a vegetative state. And can you imagine, my cook, she can't be very prosperous, and there was hardly anybody working in that. Just she had a daughter was working. The husband was not there. He was a drunkard. And she had a son who was in vegetative state. And she used to be so happy looking after him. She never used to crib about it. So that strength is exemplary. To have that strength is grace. You can say that, I know this person who's written this book, that God is How can God give so much of suffering to someone? Yes, agreed. Let's not say that God gives you suffering. Suffering is the result of what you have done. But what we need to focus upon is that you have the strength to manage your family and your life when it is so tough, when you have two people who are so severely like sick, seriously sick, and you have to look after everyone, and you still live on, and you still have zest for life, and you do so many things. That is grace. Grace comes to us in various forms. As I said, through strength, through a sudden, like a gift from God. Another way in which grace helps us is through change of perception, where we often say that life is tough and we can't do anything about it. But if you change the way you look at it, if you change your perception, then you live through it. What I say, it's okay to be not okay, to accept life as it is. That strength is amazing. And to have that strength is grace, because mostly we see people just, so unhappy, so grumbling all the time, and just not having any desire to live. So to have that positive perception where you don't even think as to how bad life is, and you just keep living on and on and on and not looking at the suffering. So, and being okay, it is not okay, but you just don't even look at it. That is grace. Another very, very interesting way through which we get grace is it's like divine support. It is support from God when you have to do something in life. I've seen people, I've come across many examples, I'm not personal interaction, but I've seen people who, they have this desire to do something. Like I've seen some people in the government who really want to do something for the people, for everybody in general. It's not about rich and poor, but to help and make the world a better place, a country a better place, a state a better place. And some of our chief ministers I've seen that they had this desire to help people, a genuine desire, not just to help themselves, but to help everyone. And they have been blessed in a magical manner with power that suddenly I should not say suddenly, that in a, not after, toiling for numerous years, but in a short period, you get a place, a post from where you can help others. So this is how I can explain that grace is there. God is there. The universe is there to help you. This divine grace helps you and it makes your life better. It is, it is like bonus which God gives you so that you can manage your life better. But what is grace? Like if you go to the first story of Rajesh, where there was a phase where he had only difficulties, and then a phase where he had abundance of everything. Abundance for him. Well, abundance is a very relative term. So he had abundance. What is the difference? The difference is in efforts. The difference is in the fact that a story begins, the journey of life begins with difficulties, and you keep making effort and effort and effort. and then you are blessed. It is about effort. It is not about, how much success or failure. No, it is about effort. If you understand how life works, how things are managed by the universe, I would say that success and failure do not count. What really counts is how much effort you made. And grace is about effort. If I go into, more complicated details, I won't talk much about it, but let me put it like this. Here, I would like to talk very briefly about suffering and karmic baggage. And I'm sure so many of us know what I'm talking about. So we, through lives, through our karma, through the choices we make, through those choices, we, create karma. We create karmic baggage. And a time comes through life, somewhere in our lives. I can't say which life. It depends on what choices you have made, what karma you have created. And through your choices and the karmic baggage you have created, a time comes when you have to pay back. And pay back, means suffering. It comes through difficulties of all sorts, whichever area you have, made mistakes in, difficulties in those areas. So in the beginning, you make efforts, you suffer to pay for the karmic baggage you have created. And it is like, you start with, say, 100 kgs of something, and this 100 kgs is something which you have to finish off, and it is 100 kg of load on your back, and you have to finish it off. And you keep making efforts, you keep suffering, and through that suffering, you finish off your baggage. And as that baggage goes lesser and lesser and lesser through your suffering, I emphasize, a point comes when you are entitled, and I'm saying using the word entitled, you are privileged to be blessed with divine grace. So grace is about suffering. It is related to suffering. In positive terms, grace is about how much you have paid back and how evolved you are. The more spiritual you are, the more grace you get. So grace is, as I said, God's blessing, His support, His strength, His gift, His perception, which helps you live your life better. Further talking about divine grace, let me just tell all of you that we are here attending a spiritual expo. And many of us are healers here. I am myself a healer. But we all know that healing does not happen for everyone. There are numerous variations. Sometimes people don't get healed at all. Sometimes they get healed a little bit and then it comes back. Sometimes healing will not happen now, but it will happen after a few years. I'm not talking just about, this energy healing. I'm even talking about doctors, to the, the medical thing, any kind of treatment, medical treatment. So, but here, something which is very important is that for a person to heal, whether it is emotional or mental, you need grace. Grace is an essential element for healing to happen. I'll give you an example. I know somebody, and this man has a serious blood pressure problem. And it has been with him for, as far as about 15 years, he's had this blood pressure problem. And it keeps bothering him. So it is like, he cannot take strong medication, because if he takes strong medication, then he falls sick. The side effects are so strong. And if he takes a simpler medication, then the blood pressure very often shoots up. And sometimes the person is in a very critical condition and needs to be really taken care of. So, but through the suffering of having high blood pressure over 15 years, now the person has come at a state that suddenly he realized that he can take strong medications. I know there can be an explanation of it, but this is how I look at it. A medication, and the doctors have not been able to explain this, that, okay, the body should have become weaker because the person is becoming older. But just one day he could take that stronger medication, and not just that, certain breathing exercises which he could not do earlier, he can do it now. And so with age, instead of getting worse, his condition of blood pressure has become better and manageable. This is a great example of grace in healing. Healing can be about timing, as to maybe you can't be healed today, as I said earlier, and maybe after 4 years you can be healed. But some people can be healed earlier. A very interesting example I came across recently was, I'll tell you something. Many years back, I had a client, and she used to have this very strange problem that she used to hear the sound of the train in her head, like, ooh, that kind, the train passing and everything. And it used to be so bothersome. Like she's doing something important, talking to a friend or driving the car or in the middle of a conversation, something important, because she used to work. And the train sound used to come and disturb her. It was something which was bizarre. Nobody could explain it. I remember she came to me and I understood what it was and I helped her. So she must have suffered for, I should say, barely 2 weeks, and she found relief and she's still fine. Along the same lines, recently a person came to me and she had a similar problem of repetitive, continuous sound in her mind when she's driving, when she's sleeping, and her life had become like, I can't explain to you how bad, how difficult her life was. She went to whosoever possible, all areas of, I should say, healing, whether it's a doctor or it's a shaman or anything. Let me not just name it. All possible types of healing she went to, but no relief. And recently she came to me and I could help her. And so I could relate the two things, that girl suffered for barely 2 weeks and this one suffered for 4 years. So it's a huge difference. So healing is something which bothers us, and we need it. For healing also, I will suggest that you should not stop making efforts if there is a problem in life. Just keep working in that area. Keep working. For everything in life, just keep doing it, which means it is an effort. And one day when you have made enough efforts, then you will be blessed with divine grace, which can come to you in different ways. Another important area of divine grace, which I would like to talk about, is healing and divine grace and happiness. So let me look at this whole thing from a different angle. I am putting three words together: grace, gratitude, and positivity. Do you know that grace and gratitude, they come from the same Latin root, which means gratus, which means being thankful, which, as I understand, is that grace means gratitude. If you have grace, then you will have gratitude. What is gratitude? Gratitude is looking at life in a way where you look at the positive of everything. Let me, go into detail, because people usually ask me that, how do I be grateful? And I say that everything which happens in your life, good or not so good, positive or negative, it is adding to you, whether it is giving you joy or it is giving you suffering. Either ways, it is good. If something or some event or some person is making you angry, giving you irritation, it doesn't mean that the person is harming you. If you have attracted a negative person, an irritating person in your life, it means that there is something in you which needs to be spent, some karma in you which needs to be spent through that suffering, your suffering through that person who irritates you. So if you look at from the other side, then you would know that he is actually doing you a favor, because of that person you are able to finish off your suffering. Yes, there is this way also of looking at life. And if you are suffering, then be thankful that you are suffering, because the more you suffer, the closer you get to the divine. Suffering is crucial. So we're talking about how to bring gratitude in you. Another way of looking at life, like you just see and notice all the joy, all the happiness around you, because others don't get it and you get it. So you look at it, the positivity of it. You wake up in the morning, you wake up feeling good. That's a great thing, because some people wake up with headaches, feeling very heavy. You wake up feeling good. You wake up with sunlight around you, fresh air, anything which is there, which is good, which adds to you. Look at that. You have woken up, you have a life, be happy. You are being given tea, or you somebody makes tea for you, somebody gives you food, or you are in a position to make it yourself. Whichever way, it is a joy. If you are being, given little things. Oh, somebody, now these days when I look at my life and I say, wow, it is so good. I used to run getting milk to the dairy or to buy bread. And now I think, wow, I'm so blessed. I have milk service, right there at my door. Somebody delivers bread to me. It is so wonderful that everything has been taken care of. Yes, life has problems, but then you look at problems in a different way. Problems also add, problems make us wiser. So Grace gives us gratitude, and gratitude gives us that way of looking at life in a positive manner. And once you look at life in a positive manner, it gives you happiness. Because I have seen a lot of people who have everything. They have money, they have health, they have good parents, good relationships, and still they are unhappy. They don't have grace. They have a faulty way of looking at life where they think that, oh, this is missing, that is missing. I don't have this, I don't have that. So many things they can find which they don't have. And they don't look at what is there. So this popular opinion that money and good relationships will make you happy, no. What actually matters is the way you look at life. That is important. That positivity is important, and this positivity gives you happiness. So I have spoken what I had to about divine grace, and its role in healing, and how grace makes us happy. Now, if there are any questions which you want to ask me, then most welcome. I would like to know. Just one more thing I wanted to add, that since I am in the healing profession, I have seen that when people are done with the healing because of, like, they go to somebody for healing, whether it is emotional healing or, you know, some medical purpose healing, what happens is that once the healing session is over, we fall back into the same trap of not taking care of, just, not taking care of our body, not taking care of our thoughts, not taking care of what emotions come to us. So I have developed a workshop which is healing and after, sustaining healing. And very soon I will put it on my Instagram page and on my website. We will do it when life is better after the pandemic, because I can't do it online. And through that workshop, you would be able to learn ways by which you can sustain the effects of healing, and on a daily basis understand as to what needs to be healed in you, and deal with that like on a regular basis. So if there are any questions, I'll give you all a little time. You can put questions to me through the chat function. So I believe I have done what I could and explained what divine grace is. If you still have later on any questions, you can contact me through the phone number which you people would have gotten through the Your Spiritual Revolution. And I thank you all for joining me. I thank Your Spiritual Revolution for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge with you. Thank you.